What's going on, Cyclones fans? It is another edition of One on One, and today we are joined by a new defenseman for your Cincinnati Cyclones. We're talking to John Spetz. John, welcome back to the team. Excited to have you going here for this new season.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be a part of the Cyclones, and just can't wait to get it all started and meet everyone and really kick this thing off.
John, let's start with just last season and your expectation going into this season. Of course, you joined the Cyclones via trade. You re-sign with the organization, but you get to make your Cyclones debut when October rolls around. Just where are you at physically? Where are you at just with your overall excitement for the new year?
Um, Very excited. I was able to come into town a little bit last year from my trade, only for like a week, and meet some of the guys, meet the staff in person. Didn't get to play because my shoulder surgery, um, which was at the time tough to deal with, but I think looking at it now, it was worth it. Glad I got it done, and yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to obviously start playing again because I was out for half the season last year, basically the second half, and then I've just been itching to get back on the ice playing and playing the game of hockey. But then as far as just during my time there, we came down actually during Super Bowl, so it was got to see the city, the Bengals, the Reds, and the Heritage Bank Center. So seeing all of that and just talking to some of the guys, it kind of seems like a place that super excited to be a part of, and the fans and everything I've heard about everything has been unreal. So I'm super excited. I really believe this is going to be a good place for me to develop and play the game that I love. And from like I said, from what I've heard, it's going to be it is a great environment. So I can't wait.
Last season, when you played with Jacksonville, you were sturdy. You were as reliable as a defenseman as they had. You played 33 games for them. So, what did you make of those 33 games, and how did you learn about the pro game during that first start of your rookie season?
Um, yeah, that's a good question. In my time there, we weren't uh, performing great as a team. Uh, and in those times, it's tough because, it is a result driven business. But I think as an individual, you learn a lot about yourselves. And I think we hung in there in a tough division. South's obviously, you got Florida, who's won the league 3 out of 4, um, or 4 out of 5. So they're obviously, played them a handful of times, played a couple other teams. So you get to see what how good the league is, and having in my time in Jacksonville, we were able to beat them twice, and being able to play in those games, you start to gain some confidence, gain some knowledge of what the league what the league's all about, and I think you have to be able to put that in your memory bank of just as you go forward in this league, and use that as confidence. So obviously, like I said, we were able to beat them twice, and playing parts in those games, you take that information and you've got to apply it. So obviously there's some really valuable lessons I learned about my game and just doing my job, moving the puck, getting pucks down to the net, all the things that a defenseman kind of determines whether he's playing a good game or not. I was able to do in those games, and like I said, our team was able to have success at the end of them, and I just got to bring that over to the Cyclones. And like I said, you learn a lot in those games where you're playing against teams that are competing for championships. So hopefully I can bring that over to Cincinnati, and we help this team make playoffs and get to eventually goals of we're trying to get to as a team. So yeah, it's been an awesome time. Obviously shoulder stunk, but playing in this league has been great and a great challenge for me to start my pro career.
Well, before you started in the ECHL, you were one of the strongest defensemen in the Hockey East era for UConn, and I want to talk to you about that experience that you had at the collegiate level. You led all-time goals, assists, points by a defenseman in the Hockey East era. When you hear that and that legacy that you left behind at UConn, what emotions does it kind of spring onto you?
Yeah, my time at UConn was a special time. We were a program that never made the national tournament, so being able to be the part of the first and team to ever make the national tournament and be a leader on that team was really cool because it showed the knowledge I was able to attain through my years in the USHL and then early on in my college career, and being able to apply it kind of show that it works, right? Just being a good role model, being a good teammate, and just daily habits really does work. At one of the top junior leagues and then top college hockey leagues in America. So and as you look, like, even if you look in this league, like being able to see some of the players that have success, whether it's players and teams, Florida, some of their guys coming from that I recognize their names from Hockey East. So like, it's all the same story of just the daily habits and, that mentality of waking up and, doing your best, really trying to be your best. It pays off and it works. I think, like I said, my time at UConn was very special, and it was fulfilling because it just kind of reminds you that doing your best and your daily habits / routine are, really what gets the job done at the end of the day. So it was a cool experience, and I hope obviously for that program at UConn they continue doing that. As we, we've made our first tournament and second tournament in the last 2 years, and hopefully we can keep propelling as a university and the Hockey East and nationally.
What was it like for you being part of a generation of UConn hockey that instilled a culture? And I only ask that because here at the Cyclones, it feels like we're in the middle of a culture shift. So having the experience that you had at UConn, how do you feel like you can carry that over to the Cyclones, who are ready to get back in the postseason and ready to make sure that they are set to go from the jump here in October?
Yeah. Obviously when I got to UConn, I think it was, they were building a culture, and a lot of it is just communication of, kind of establishing the core values that the team all needs to kind of, meet. And I think once you do that, executing of what like the daily routines kind of look like is the next part. And it's really not, it's nothing, it's all cliche stuff, but it's all true. I mean, you just, like I said, we communicate it really well. And as a team in the locker room, like we didn't, obviously there's times where we're going to, mess around and, just be boys and, shoot, just talk and, but, overall, like, I mean, if you can just get to the, the brunt of the situation of, hey, like, this is what we need to do and execute this on a daily routine, on a daily level. And then, the rest of the stuff kind of falls in line. And then before you know it, again, college is a little different because you're at the campus, you're not dealing with as much distractions as far as like, I shouldn't call them distractions, but other, family situations, whether, some guys have kids, stuff like that. But I think overall, like if you're able to work efficiently in those times that you can, and then like even my time in Cincinnati for a brief stint up in that week, we were the whole team was up at Super Bowl party watching the game together. Like that's the stuff that you remember, and goes a long way. And it's important that you're doing that stuff. But there also needs to be a switch of, it's time to work, and we need to, get things done here, and it needs to, look a certain way, and it takes a while to get to those points too. And it's going to typically have to go through some adversity and some conflict, and communication, like I said, and holding each other accountable a little bit, and holding yourself accountable. If everyone can do that, I mean, things kind of, before you know it, and you're willing to go through those tough times, those tough times don't seem very long once you get through them, if you truly go through them. So I know that's a lot of stuff, but and again, it's all cliche. You just have to be willing to do it, and do it for yourself, do it for your teammates, and then those Super Bowl parties, those celebrations, those championship celebrations, they all make it worth it. And you really appreciate your teammates in those times, because like I said, when you're winning it, everything's a little easier, as far as enjoying just the daily stuff, and it makes it that much more special, being able to hang out with your friends, your family, when things when you're doing things the right way, and you're getting the job done and executing it at the end of the day.
You mentioned earlier that you were able to get it done in one of the premier junior leagues. I mean, let's talk a little bit about your time in Chicago. Some names that we're familiar with: Gunnar Wolfontaine, John Jaworski, but you also played with some pretty big names as well, like Owen Power. Just what was it like being a part of that organization, and how did it kind of mold you into the player you are today?
That experience was once in a lifetime, at least to my knowledge. I don't know if a team like that will ever happen again. We had unique players, unique staff, unique ownership. Everything was pretty special about that. We kind of, you're at an age where you're able to spend a lot of time with your teammates, naturally, just where we are in our lives. But then when we had to work, it was, we worked, and it was, early on, we proved a lot of people wrong. We proved ourselves wrong, probably a little bit. And then once we realized that, as the time went on there, we decided, basically collectively, maybe without even talking about it, but maybe with talking about it, just that we're not going to waste this opportunity. We're going to keep challenging, the system that our coaches gave us, which was, like I was saying earlier, habits and daily routines, and maxing that out. We're going to challenge that by, doing more, and which was hard to do at that time. But, guys were lining up to do video with coaches. Guys were, trying to figure out their stride, and we had the resources. So it was, it was obviously nice, but nobody took it for granted. And that last year's team with Gunnar and Jaws, we went 41-7, and in a league that doesn't happen very often. I mean, you see some really good teams, but we were on path to do some special things. I think we had 5 of the top goal scorers in the league. We had 3 of the top 5 defensemen goal scorers in the league. So we were doing things at a very elite level, in COVID. So we never in my opinion, got to reach our fullest potential, but it did show us a lot of us how important just that daily routine is. The X's and O's, they're great, and they can help you win here and there, but the daily routines is what brings you confidence and helps you one, I think, win in playoffs, but 2, win championships. That time was special, and that will stay with me forever. I mean, I was able to use that as confidence at UConn from year 1 to year 5. And it will that year overall will always stick with me till the day I'm coaching. Like, I will always remember my time there and use that. So I was always a big fan of what we had going on there.
My last question is a simple one. The last two organizations that you've been a part of, UConn, Chicago, we won't really count Jacksonville. You wore a letter, you were a natural born leader, and that's something that Coach Wozlowski is really, really high on when he speaks about you as a person and as a player. Where does that come from, and how do you feel like you can bring some of that leadership to this organization, still a pretty young team?
Yeah, I mean, I think just knowledge of one. I come from a big family, so naturally I'm in the, and sometimes it's I do it myself, but the family, I have 4 sisters and 2 brothers, so one of 7, and every day has always been competitive, whether someone in the family knows it or not, or whether you're playing front yard basketball. It's always been you just hate to lose, and I think that's always been, whether it's something someone did in their own field, it's like you want to try and be better, and it's nothing more than, if you can look at it the right way, it's nothing more than just trying to elevate each other in this family. I think when you're younger, sometimes it could get, personally, you're not looking at the big picture, but I think as we've all gotten older, we've all been able to succeed in our own paths by viewing it that way of, being able to handle pressure of someone else's, trying to, be better than you in something. And that's always, I think it's a nice thing. I'm lucky to have a lot of siblings, because not everyone has that naturally, like, just the ability to, even if you're like bored, to just play cornhole with someone and, get better than them. Like, it's just little things of, you're always trying to like be in a competitive state. So I think that is where it first, starts. And then from there, I was able to just learn from a lot of really good captains in front of me, and how to communicate with people and have good relationships. Because I think that in a team, an element is the most important thing. Like, yeah, I could be competitive and it's great. It will be great in that moment, but then there's also a time where it's going to turn off, and, you have to be a person and, explain and talk and, get to know people and all that stuff. So I think, like I said, being able to have learned from so many great leaders, whether it's coaches, managers, other players. So I've had a great deal of resources that have really molded the way I think about this sport, and also just how a team really works. So, like I said, I hope to bring whatever I can to this team as far as leadership, and just be myself, and see what happens. I mean, that's all you can really do. And you can always better yourself. That's the biggest thing. It's like, you can't be afraid of, learning and being better. So that's pretty much, apply the knowledge that I know. And, if anyone needs some help, or looks like they need some help, give them it, and vice versa. If I need help in a certain area, like, watch the people that are succeeding in those areas and do better. And if that's what everyone's doing, it becomes pretty contagious. And then, a large group of people can get a lot of things done if that's the environment. So,
Well, John, some great answers, some great insight, and we cannot wait to see you continue to become a great hockey player. This was another edition of One on One. That was John Spetz. I'm Rudy Hodgson, signing off for now. We'll see you later this week. Another announcement for your Cincinnati Cyclones is on the horizon. It almost feels like we're in October. I can't wait for this new season to rock and roll. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you a little later this week.